The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the speakers and not of DoD or any of its components.
Take me to the countryside. Gotta get out of these city lights. Drinking my cup, got me feeling right.
I'm going to meet my friend in Japan, so I gotta fucking suit up, man.
I gotta suit up.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking good shit, dude. Like, I don't know, man. Like, just the fact that we can do this, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Like, like back when you shipped off to the Navy, we were like, all right, man, we'll catch you when I catch you. Like,
all right,
whatever,
man.
Now we can just hop in a room together. And just,
dude, I totally remember writing fucking letters in boot camp. Like, I wrote letters.
Yeah, we had to take time out of the day to write letters and shit and be like, all right, who am I gonna write one to? What am I gonna say?
Do you remember fucking senior fucking Morrison, man? He used to give me shit when we would go use the phones, and he was like, "You calling that fat girl, aren't you, Hal?"
You like them fat girls, huh, Hal?
You like them fat girls, don't you, Hal, down there in Texas?
And then you go in the office and play Fat Bottom Girls by Queen.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And then him and Frost would be like, come on, FC1, let's go see a man about a horse. Those fucking guys,
like a lifetime ago, but man, I remember it like it was yesterday. Remember that time? I still tell this story. Remember that time? I forget her name, Cho or something. I don't remember what her name was, but she had to pee, and we were standing out on the grinder, and we were in formation, and she was like, "I have to pee," and they were talking to us about some bullshit, and then they made us down our canteens, and everybody started throwing up.
Do you remember the number of pile pukes? I do.
23.
Yeah, man.
I had to count them, man.
I know.
He's like, "Arpok, stay out there and count these."
Count these fucking piles of puke. Dude, that was right toward the end. And to see them they wanted to bust up laughing so fucking hard, dude. It was hilarious. Yeah,
they love us.
They did, man. I mean, I tell that story all the time, man. Like, they put me on the bus because we took a bus. It was right after 9/11. You remember that?
Yeah.
And
2 days.
And they were like, I remember Morrison fucking put me on the bus. He's like, "Stay motivated, Hal." And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Next.
Yeah, that was it, dude. I have a little name tag on. Thought I was in charge of some shit. It was awesome.
Yeah. Remember my hand was broken?
That's right.
Yeah, I had to carry that fucking cutlass. It was like that. Dude, it became the heaviest thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I got pissed off that night because everybody was fucking up. Everybody was just being on some bullshit. And I punched the rack. I remember,
dude.
I moved it off spot like a fucking foot and a half.
I had forgotten about that, man.
I was like, "Dean, I just broke my hand."
Yeah, that's right. You're like, "Dude, I just broke my hand." I was like, "What?"
Fucking goat horn sticking out of my hand. Damn it.
Yeah.
I get asthma at the last week of fucking boot camp.
You remember I got sent back on final night, man.
Oh, that's right. During battle stations, you were cussing.
So we were doing that thing where you got to help people up the cargo net, and these motherfuckers were pissing me off, man. And I lost my shit. I lost my shit.
I
was
forgot.
Like, "You weak motherfuckers! You weak motherfuckers!" They're like, "How? Take your ass back to the ship." I was like, "Fuck!"
I remember seeing you go off. I was like, "Oh hell, man!" I'll catch you on the flip side, bro.
I had to go through that shit twice, man. I went through the next night.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was good times. We could sit here and talk all day about that.
Yeah, dude. When did we meet? Like, I know it was at Papado.
Let's see. I graduated in 99. It was probably sometime in 2000, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Had to been. Yeah, because I was 98, and then I was still in school, started working at Papado. It had to have been 2000. Well, yeah, it was early 2000 because I think I worked there for about 18 months.
Yeah, you came to work at Papado's after I started because I remember I didn't like you. I was like, "Who the fuck is this cocky motherfucker coming in here?"
Yeah, so like on my turf.
And then they made you fucking manager. I was like, "Oh hell no, man!" I
You
don't
know
remember.
what, man? Those are like, I really enjoy working at that place.
Yeah, it was fun, man. Like honestly, that was like a precursor to fucking boot camp. Like working there, it was very
It
military esque.
was. It
Had
was,
uniform
man.
inspections, like your pins. You had to have 4 pins, and
Yeah.
shit had to be lined up with your pocket. And
Yeah.
yeah, it
Dude,
was intense.
yeah,
I was like,
like
man,
like basically it was like muster, you know?
yeah, every day, every shift. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like you do quarters before you would start the shift almost.
yeah. So when we got to boot camp, I was like, oh, this is normal shit.
Yeah. I
Not
remember
really,
I was
but
just, dude, I remember laying the first night, and like if we're being honest, I don't think either one of us were in a good headspace when we got to boot camp. We'll
a little foggy.
just leave it at that. And
Yeah.
man, I remember laying, I was on the top rack, right? And I remember laying there and they turned off the lights and then the fucking red lights came on. And I was like, what have I gotten myself into? And why are there red lights?
I feel like I'm in apocalypse now. What's going
Yeah,
on?
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Those
20
good
years
times
later,
though,
like, man, that's the most comforting thing. The red lights come on. It's like,
man.
So yeah, dude. Yeah, Papado was a good time. You remember we were like between jobs after we both quit too. You remember that?
Oh yeah. I was
Where
up
did we
shit.
where
I
did
was
we
like, what
work
am
for
I
like
gonna
a
do
month?
now? We just quit.
We just said, fuck it, I'm out.
We were like, I ain't going in. I'm going to the Navy. Fuck y'all.
Mm. Yeah, dude. And then it was for like a month solid. We went to the river every day. You remember
No.
that?
Nope.
Yeah,
I
dude.
do remember, however, you remember that day? Oh man, we're just gonna sit here and tell stories, but that's okay. That's
It's
fun.
all good, man.
Yeah, no, there's so many, but you remember that time I had my little John boat. Remember, I had that 14-foot aluminum
I
John boat
do.
that
I
was all
do.
tricked out. I
We
thought I
used to
had a master.
kneeboard behind that thing, man.
Yeah. So we went to the river one day. I don't remember if you were there. No, I think the whole clan was there, but it started like pouring down rain. And you remember we used to go to that sandbar that was north, like when you
Mm-hmm.
hit the ramp, we go up in the sandbar.
Yep.
It was like pouring down rain, and I had to make like multiple trips to bring people back to the boat ramp because like we had to get
Yeah.
back, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the last time Cecil was standing up on the shore, and I couldn't really see because it was raining so hard. And I was just trying to get up on the shore. Man, I almost jumped the sandbar, bro. Like, I like flew up. Cecil like dove out of the way. Ice chest went flying out of the fucking boat. And yeah, man, that was good times.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
I remember like you would bring your boat and I would bring the my mom's jet ski.
yeah.
Like it was like we were straight out of that show Eastbound and Down. Just like
A couple river rats, man.
I got nothing, but I got this jet ski, man.
Yeah, I wish I
Yeah,
still had
dude.
that.
I'll tell you though, man, like dude, I'm not trying to get sentimental or anything, but I owe you my I owe you my fucking life, dude. Like, so I didn't. No, hold on, just let me do this real quick, right? Like, I did not want to go to the recruiter, like, but you're like, come on, dude. All right, man, let's go, right? And then for both of us, they gave us like the little practice ASVAB, man. And they were like, "Oh, y'all aren't walking out of this motherfucker." Right?
Yeah. Hey Frank, we got a couple. We got to keep them in here.
Lock the doors. Lock the doors. We got two in the 90s. Lock the doors. This one's colorblind, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, man. But no,
Yeah.
man, like that was, I mean, legit, like I owe you my life, man, because I mean, I was certainly, going down not the best path. And I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit that, man. Like that's a very common kind of thread for a lot of folks that for some reason, especially that joined the Navy, man, like with these young sailors that I talk to, like, a lot of them, they're the cool kids. Just put it that way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I
So,
mean, I think, the dumb shit we were doing and, the path we were heading down, I think both of us, could see the forest for the trees on where that was heading. And,
yep.
um, don't regret any of it. You know, it laid the foundation for who we are now, and
Right.
definitely gave us some things to look back on and be like, ooh, don't do that again. You know.
Yeah.
But honestly, man, you can. I mean, I appreciate you saying that, but you could probably thank the recruiter who lied to me and said I could be a photographer's mate because that got me.
Oh, that's right. You wanted to be
That's
a
the only
PA
reason I
so
wanted to
bad,
go.
dude.
That's the only reason I wanted to go. He was like, oh yeah, you can be, yeah, you travel the world, build your portfolio, go to college. It's gonna be awesome. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Where do I sign?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
already, just driving around every day taking pictures of shit. So I was like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome. And then, what is it like? You got like a month before you ship off, right? And
Yeah.
about 2 weeks into it, I had to go back in for like a check in or whatever, and he was like, yeah, so about that photographer's mate thing, we checked on it, and it's a little overmanned right now. So,
Yeah. And it remains overmanned.
there's about a 2-year waiting list, but you can go in on Des, and like we'll figure it out. I was like, let me consult with my sister because my sister
Yeah.
she was at AM for I don't know how many years. They actually just requested that she find something else to do from the reserves because she just been in there since whatever 92 or whatever. It's
Yeah,
been
dude. Yeah.
But yeah, she closed that chapter. But yeah, thank God for her because I'd have probably
Yeah.
ended up on the side of a boat chipping paint or something, man. Like I don't even know.
Yeah. I can't really picture Seaman Fruge, man. That you know what though, man? Like you would have done fine. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and you ended up you went to ATA school and then you were before they converted to AW, you were a flying AT basically in the E6s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it worked out. It was cool. It was probably one of the best duty stations I could have ended up at. So,
Yeah.
it didn't go like I thought it was. I mean, hell, when I got my orders when I was in Pensacola, I got my orders. I was like, wait a minute, I just went through aircrew school. Y'all sending me to the Prowler Squadron? He was like, no, that's the
Yeah.
EA6. You going to
Yeah.
E6?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
what's that? He was like, I don't know.
It's in
He was like,
Oklahoma,
you'll find
bro.
out when you get there. You'll find out when you get there.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
good, man. Dude, Matt, so I have legit, like, I've known you so long that I kind of know, I don't know, your origin story, right? But I know you went to Westbrook, you know what I'm saying? But like, I don't really know kind of like your early, like, where you born and all that shit. Like, are you Beaumont through and through?
Actually, I was we lived in Lumberton when I was born.
Mm,
Uh, and yeah, we lived in Lumberton. My parents got divorced when I was like, I don't know, like four-ish, somewhere in
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And dad stayed in Lumberton. Mom moved to Beaumont and moved out of the first house, built another house, married my stepmom, and then they moved kind of the outskirts of Beaumont out in Bevel Oaks.
Yeah.
There's a couple moves here and there, but
Right.
dad was always kind of on the outskirts of Beaumont. Mom was in Beaumont. And
Right.
So I got the best of both worlds, right? I got to live in the city, which still had a little bit of country aspect to it, right? There was
Yep.
some oil fields behind our neighborhood that we, I don't know, a couple thousand acres that we had free reign in. So we just,
Yep.
off in there all the time. And then dad lived right next to National Forest, big thicket.
Right.
So me and him were talking about that the other day. Kids these days don't really get out in nature like
Yeah.
we used to, right? Like I remember just like leaving with no shoes, no shirt on, just
Oh,
on
yeah,
my bike.
man.
Like come back, better be back before the sun goes down, But
Yeah.
yeah, and then went through the Beaumont School District. Went to Westbrook. Graduated in '99. Dad was a civil engineer. Yeah, was a civil engineer, and was an industrial concrete contractor. So, starting around 13, I'd work for him during the summers, just being a gopher around the yard at the shop, just weed eating, mowing the grass, picking up shit, whatever needed to be
Right.
done. He made me save all my money. I'd have to save 75% of my money, and I get to spend 25%, right?
Nice.
So, I didn't know why he was doing that. I was like, man, that's dumb. I'm gonna fucking my money.
It's my money, man.
My money. I want to buy some shit, right? What are you gonna buy at 14, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, when it came time to buy my first truck, um, they didn't know this until years later, but I was looking for something in one of my mom's like bathroom drawers or whatever, and I found a withdrawal receipt. It had my account number on it for like $4,500. I was
Yeah.
like, what are they doing with my money?
Yeah.
And then the next day they surprised me with my truck. So really,
Mhm.
I bought like three-quarters of my truck.
Nice.
Yeah, and so anyway, worked all through high school in the summers and everything for my dad, and then after I graduated, I spent um, probably about a year, like in between graduating and meeting you and the rest of the clan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Worked for my dad in the refineries because I was old enough to go in the refineries now, not just be bullshit at the shop,
Right.
and quickly realized that is not what I wanted to do, right?
Right.
Because it wasn't like I was an operator working in the control
Yeah.
room, nice AC. Like, nah, man, I was a form carpenter out in the fucking 100-degree heat,
Yeah.
like
Southeast
wearing
Texas
Nomex and
heat.
a hard,
Ugh.
yeah, wearing Nomex and a hard hat, and I
Yeah.
was just like, this fucking blows. And but it had its intended purpose, right? Like he didn't ever have
Yeah.
that in mind for me either, but
Right.
it was an important stepping stone, and yeah, that kind of led me up to what we were just talking about, meeting y'all and
Yeah.
going through that whole season, and then joining the Navy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
And then so when you got out, you went back to Beaumont originally, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I went back to Beaumont. Um, Started working as a manager at Jason's Deli,
That's
which is a
right,
great,
dude. Yeah.
yeah, great company. And it was born in Beaumont, right?
Right.
Now it's a national company, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was a manager there for a little while. Uh, that was the last foray I had in the restaurant business.
Hmm.
Before the Navy and then after the Navy, I was like, man, this is also not the life for me.
Yeah.
Um, and got into sales. Actually, I was working at Jason's Deli, and these cats used to come in. Young cats used to come in like every Monday morning for breakfast, and they were all like my age, like or young to mid 20s. But they were driving like S550s and
Mm.
like M3s, and I was like,
Yeah.
what do y'all do? And they
Yeah.
were like, man, we sell gold, precious metals, and rare coins. And I was like,
Yep.
what? I was like, how much money? It's kind of like that scene out of the freaking Wolf of Wall Street where the guy's
Yeah,
like,
man.
how much you make? You show me a pay stub for $74,000. I quit my job right now. I work for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty much how it went. I was like, how much?
Yeah.
Like, what selling coins? Like, what are you talking about? He was like, yeah, I just sold a coin for like $280,000 and made like $35,000 in commission. I was like, huh?
What?
I was like, come on. Where do I sign up? Well, turns out my dad knew someone at the company and got me an interview. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I started working there, and that was really my first dive into sales, right? And
Right.
um, it was a hardcore like boot camp of sales, right? It was high
Right.
pressure over the phone, very stressful,
Yeah.
very, always go, 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 chasing that dollar. But
Yeah.
it gave me a deep dive into human psychology and kind of what makes people tick.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of laid the foundation for doing other things in life, right? That
Right.
requires like sales is probably the number one skill you can develop in the business world
Yeah.
because you don't sell shit, you ain't in business. And
Yeah. Like at that, so we've talked about this some, but like, did they set like a quota for you? Like, weekly, monthly, quarterly, like
daily,
that kind of stuff?
daily.
Daily.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they broke it down, bro. Like if you ever seen like the movie Boiler Room or anything like that,
Oh
where it's
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
cubicle farm and you're just on the phones, like we would have burns, right? You'd burn for 45 minutes, you get off the phone for 15 minutes, go smoke, take a piss, play some ping pong, whatever.
Yeah.
And then like the clock runs out, get back on the phone.
Yeah.
and
No
and
kidding.
yeah, dude, and it was like this campus. They built this building. It was kind of like Z-shaped, and they had like 8 different companies in
Right.
this campus, and they would all advertise in similar, you know, magazines, TV channels, radio shows, whatever, where
Yeah.
their demographic was tuning into. but they all had like a different set of coins or different pitch or whatever. It's really a genius business model. It was a money printer, but they would
Mhm.
do like 12 to $13 million of sales in a month. And
Oh my God.
when one room, one company would hit their goal for the day, they'd come into your room and they'd just be like yelling and just be like, "Let's go!" Like trying to get people hyped up, and there'd just be like
What?
background noise, and like this dude you're talking to on the other end of the phone be like, "What the fuck is going on in there?" Be like,
Yeah.
it's crazy in here, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
You
It
want to
was
get in on this?
yeah, man. It's going nuts, man. Everybody's just buying it. It's just a frenzy. It was just like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was theatrics, but it was like I said, it was a good lesson in human psychology, right?
Yeah.
Um,
You did that
and
for about what,
it was
5 years or so?
yeah, something like that. I worked there for a little bit, and then I branched off on my own and
Right.
uh, did it out of the house for a while, and then got an
Yeah.
office and did that, and then that kind of carried me up until 2010ish,
Yeah.
um, where my daughter's mom moved to up here to DFW area,
Yeah.
and we'd always kind of talked about like we didn't want to raise Kylie in Beaumont. We wanted to get out of
Yeah.
the small town environment, and we
Yeah.
didn't know where. And it was kind of an agreement we
Vider,
had. Like
baby.
whoever
Vider.
had the
Vider,
yeah,
Texas, baby.
Vider, Beagleville. Yeah, man. So it was just kind of a pact we had that like whoever got the first opportunity, the other would follow. And
Yeah.
yeah, ended up here, and yeah, I went to school at UNT, University of North Texas.
Hmm.
I got up here. Um, Actually, my first job was at a roofing company
Mm.
that I got here, and it was in the middle of the summer. I was driving some busted ass Honda Accord with no AC and leather seats, and it's like terrible, right?
Sticky.
And yeah, man, and here I am like driving around neighborhoods, going door to door, like all fucking drenched in sweat before I even got into the neighborhood, and like,
Yeah.
hey, I can inspect your roof. And it was just a shit show, right? And
Yeah.
I was used to like being in the office on the phones, like selling things to people over the phone and everything. So it was a
Yeah.
wild transition for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that didn't last long. At the company I was at, like they were just a bunch of idiots, man. They were just a bunch
Right.
of freaking knuckleheads, and I was just like, man,
Yeah.
being the mindset that I have, I was like, I can do this better than them. I can do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So I kind of started a company just doing like general handyman shit, and
Hmm.
not long after I started the company, I went to work for a garage door company, and I was in their
Mm.
dispatch center, in their call center, and got to see kind of the inner workings of a successful service-based business,
Right.
to see how they ran their ads and see how um, they structured their teams and structured the organization in order to handle the calls that they were getting and then dispatch technicians out. So I moved from sales at that organization. I moved from sales into dispatch to where I was actually running people nationwide
Yeah.
in like 18 different markets. So I got kind of the best of both worlds. I did the sales things, which, for that, it wasn't really sales. People were calling in and like they needed something. So you were just, I don't know if
Right.
I call it sales, um, but the dispatch was really interesting to me because it was
Mm.
logistics, right? It was like fast thinking, fast decision making.
Right.
Um, Kind of dropped me back into that stressful environment that I was kind of
Yeah.
used to, and and then I got an opportunity to join a medical sales company with some friends of mine,
Right.
and the whole roofing thing kind of got put on hold for a minute because that was super lucrative, and we did that until some regulatory changes came into effect and kind of changed the way payers were paying for the things we were selling, and
Right.
kind of took all the margin out of it. And yeah, then I went back to roofing in 2000. I took like a year-long sabbatical, right,
Right.
from that. Traveled a bit. Went down to Mexico. Just
Yeah.
kind of got my thoughts in order.
Yeah.
Uh, and then jumped back into roofing full time in like 2016. And
Yeah.
yeah, did
And you've
that.
built a pretty impressive company at this point, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean we've had our ups and downs, and it's one of those businesses that it seems really, really attractive and shiny
Yeah.
when you're looking at it, but there's a
Right.
lot of back end when you're
Yeah.
because we deal with insurance claims, right? And you're dealing with
Ah,
insurance
yeah.
carriers, it's not just like you go out to a house, give them a bid, do the work, and get paid, right? You gotta
Right.
There's a whole other workflow that goes into just dealing with the insurance company on
Right.
the front end of it, and
Yeah.
then you get to the production part of it, and then once you get done, you got to send in your invoices and all your documentation to the insurance carrier and wait to get paid for 20 to 60 days. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's got its own set of challenges, which
Mm.
actually spawned our most recent business,
Yeah.
which is a software company that we're making to solve some of the problems that are wrapped up into what I just described.
So that's
Um,
the one I'm not real familiar with, man. I know that like Roofmark has been pretty good for you.
yeah, Roofmark's
But
been, yeah.
yeah, but tell me about the software company. I'm curious about that one.
Yeah, so Square Dash is the name of the product that we're building. It's an end-to-end solution for contractors that work insurance claims like we do. Um,
Okay.
'Cause when a storm hits, right, in DFW, a storm comes through 30 minutes, it damages 300,000 homes, right? Big hailstorm, right?
Yeah.
Hail or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Comes through, damages, hundreds of thousands of homes across, 8 different cities
Right.
and creates, a couple of years worth of work for all the roofers that are up here, right? And there's like 8,000 in North Texas. It's crazy.
Right.
Um, but then you have to send your people out, right? Whether it be your salespeople or your marketing team to go out into the neighborhood because a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people think of their roof if it's not leaking, there's not a problem, right? If I don't see a
Right.
bunch of blown off shingles, it's all good, and that's just not the case, right? Hail comes
Right.
through and it shit out of your roof, and it will turn into leaks down the road if
Mm.
not dealt with right now, right? It,
Right.
it, it reduces the lifespan of the shingle. So anyway, there's a lot of marketing activity and a lot of coordination that has to happen with sending your people out to the right areas, getting those leads back into your system of record, your CRM.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those workflow issues that I talked about with the insurance company. You got to meet the adjuster out there and
Hmm.
first you got to do an inspection to see if there's any damage to even like worry about, right?
Right.
Then cut the homeowner calls the insurance company, files a claim, gets the adjuster out there. You got to meet the adjuster out there, do your inspection again so he can write his estimate, come up with a scope
Yeah.
of work. He gives you that paperwork in about a week, and you got to look at that paperwork and be like, okay, did they leave anything off, right? Are there building code items that they didn't put on here? They just overlook things, right? And there's like revisions that have to be made. So then you got to create that in the same software that they use, which is like a $300 a month subscription.
Right.
And then you got to go back and forth with them. So we actually, the first tool we're releasing, we developed a parsing algorithm that reads that document, right? You can upload the PDF you can just upload it into our system, and it actually extracts all of the meaningful data out of that document because there's a bunch of fluff and
Yeah.
summaries and stuff in there that you don't need. And then you can match that against your material and labor price list and
Mm.
cross-reference all those line items so you can do an ROI estimate and see if that job's even viable from the get-go and see where you stand. But then if it is good, right, you can just generate your material and labor orders automatically, right? If it's not good and you got to go do
Basically,
revision,
instead of having to like, pencil whip it all the way
yeah,
down the line
sit
kind of
there
thing,
and like
right?
analyze. It took me a year and a half to even be able to like read these things because they're so like convoluted and they're not
Yeah.
easy to read, right? You got to know what you're looking at. And
Right.
if you're sitting at the kitchen table with Miss Betty, right, and you're trying to
Yeah.
if you can service her job as it sits, like you got to be able to know how to do that, right? And that takes some
Right.
time and a knowledge and skill set. So this just kind of collapses time
Hmm.
to just upload that, extract all the data off there. If you need to make revisions, you can add or edit line items as you see fit. Send it back off to the adjuster in like
Yeah.
a couple of minutes. Automatically create your work and material orders so that you can send it out to your crew and your suppliers.
Yeah.
And that cuts down 2 to 4 hours of man hours on every file down to like 5 to 10 minutes.
Mm.
Uh,
Wow. That's like huge.
yeah, it's pretty big. We actually filed a patent on the algorithm because it's novel in the way it's doing things.
So
Um,
this is like no kidding new. This isn't like built on. I mean, I'm sure it's probably built on top of something, but not something that's designed for this purpose.
no, we're building it from scratch.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, we had to. We tried to build it on Zoho's platform, which is like a low code, no code environment where you can just kind of like put the Lego blocks together. Because
Right.
we started this as an internal tool, right? We
Right. Yeah.
spent like 60 grand in 2018 on a 10-man team just on software licenses because we were trying to piece together all these solutions that are in the market,
Right.
and all we ended up with was a bunch of system bloat. Right? Nobody
Right.
knew how to use anything. They could use this thing, but not this thing, and then the connection would break. It was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was the impetus to start this venture.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's turned into something cool. We're raising money. We've raised some money from some investors, and we're
Nice.
building, putting our team together, and getting it out to market. We're set to launch probably into April, early May. This first
Awesome,
school.
man.
Yeah, and yeah, we can do some really cool stuff with that information. Like once you have the real world data digitized,
Hmm.
you can automate a lot of things downstream,
Yeah.
and um, and yeah, like the biggest value proposition is solving the cash flow issue
Hmm.
because these claims, like I said, once you get done, you got to do the whole job, right? You got to finish everything: roof, gutters, windows,
Right.
siding, whatever. Then you send in your invoice, and then you wait to get paid. If you go, you're in a storm environment, and you go from doing like 3 or 4 jobs a week to like 40 jobs a week. That
Right.
working capital's got to come from somewhere, right? Like
Yeah.
you got to be able to do the next job. And
Basically, got to front load it. And like, so I guess my question is on that. So, if before you start the work, do you have some guarantee from the insurance company that they will in fact pay the
yeah,
claim? Right.
yeah, that's like the keystone to all of this, right? Like they come out and they write an estimate and a scope of work from the adjuster, and that's like a
Okay.
promissory note. Like they're legally
Got it.
obligated. Like once
Okay.
they say this is what we're fixing and this is how much we're paying, like
Yeah.
there may be additions to that, but they will pay that, right? And so
Okay.
Um, so yeah, we get a contract signed that matches up. It's congruent with the scope of work that they have, and we do the work, and we know we're going to get paid. It's just when, right?
Right.
So by digitizing all of that information, which is kind of like the source of truth on the job,
Hmm.
it is the promissory note, and now we have a digital source of truth in our system of record.
Right.
We can then purchase that receivable from the contractor. If they're waiting on $5,000 after they finish a job, we can
Right.
say, here's your $5,000, charge them a small fee, fund them that same day that the homeowner says, yeah, everything's finished and everything.
Yeah.
And then we just wait on the homeowner to get the check and they can fund us on the back end because
Okay.
we're basically just a line of credit. We're not trying to make
Right.
payroll and run a business and
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
people's families fed with that money, right? It's just like a pot of money that's sitting there.
Right.
So you can't automate any of that. There's companies out there, it's called invoice factoring, right? There's companies out there that will buy your invoices and buy your receivables, but then they're like a third party like collection agency that's like calling your
Mm.
homeowners, and your homeowners want nothing more than to pay you. They just don't have the money from their insurance. It's not like a
Right.
typical invoice that they're collecting on where the people are deadbeats, right? And so it makes this awkward like riff in
Yeah.
your relationship when those type of things
Yeah.
don't
I
get.
think I think people want to deal with one person, right? They don't want to
Yeah,
deal with the insurance company in the first place, right?
yeah. This is
You
like a
know,
bad
but
thing that happened to them, right? Their
right.
property got fucked up.
And
And so
they want to deal with somebody that they trust and not have, like you said, some like third party person like, hey, I'm from, you
yeah,
know, X, Y, or Z, and like,
calling to
pay
collect
me.
some money. Yeah,
Yeah,
and they're like,
pay me. Like, I don't know you.
I'll talk to Matt about this because I don't know
Yeah.
you, right? Even if they act like they're from your company, right? Even if they're like
Right.
augmenting your team, it's still
Yeah.
like a weird thing, right? To
Yeah.
to be constantly calling someone because they're trying to collect. Like the money will come in,
Right.
and super low default rate. Like the homeowners that don't give us checks at the end, like they're super
Right.
happy and grateful, and as long
Yeah.
as it's major didn't go wrong on the job, like
Right.
we always get the money. So
So
it's a pretty sure.
about how many folks do you have working for you? I imagine that you have a lot of like contract relationships that aren't
Yeah.
necessarily your employees, right? But
Right.
like kind of paint that picture for me because I'm curious.
Yeah, so 2018 was our biggest year. We had about 15 people on staff, including salespeople and a couple people in the office. After that quagmire of a year, I was just like, I'm not doing this again. Like, it was just a nightmare. So we scaled back, and I've only got about 5 people working for me right now at the roofing company.
Okay.
But I'm making more money because it's I don't have to pay as many people. It's less stress, and I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of vowed after that year, like I'm never going back to that until I figure out a way to automate as much of this as possible because
Right.
that's just the old way of doing things.
Right.
And they're 2022 now, right? Like we should be
Right.
able to automate pretty much everything. And then on the software company, let's see, we got one, two, three, five. We're bringing on two people, actually one on Monday and one the following week. Bringing on a senior developer and then a quality assurance tester, basically working on
Nice.
bugs. So yeah, we'll have five people on staff there. So
That's
uh,
awesome, man. I mean,
yeah.
so like I imagine they're kind of like across the spectrum of age and gender or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah, man. I mean, we got this. It's a melting pot. I've had I've had 19-year-olds work for me. I've had
mm,
60-year-olds work for me, right?
yeah,
And that's another challenge when you're trying to piece together all these software solutions and
yeah,
trying to achieve efficiency in your business, And
yeah,
you got this guy over here that like can do anything on any digital device and like
yeah,
figure it out like that. And you
yeah.
got this guy over here that needs like big text and like things on the page fuck him up. And he's
He's
just like, ah, you know what I
like,
mean? He's like,
where do I give me
yeah.
a
So
hammer?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was another like motivating factor in the software we're developing. Like we need to be able to develop it for the least technical person at a company, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
um, and that's how the insurance companies have approached it, right? That's why they have that software that they use, and it
Hmm.
does everything by line item, right? Like if you
Yeah.
gotta replace some baseboard, the line item combination for that is like remove baseboard, prime baseboard, paint baseboard,
Mm,
install baseboard, right? There's like four things to
yeah.
replace baseboard. And it causes a disconnect with contractors because that's not how we price out jobs, right? Like
Right.
if I got a subcontractor that's going to go out there and replace baseboard, he's just going to be like, it's $300, like he's not gonna break
Yeah.
it down for you, right? So that's another main thing. Like we're bridging the gap between like all these
Right.
line items that they use and what that actually means to a contractor when he needs to
Mm.
cost out and order a job, right?
So
So
when I was in Millington, man, I did a little bit of this. Like even in the Navy, we do they call it like a system change request, and basically, the Navy would say, here's all of our requirements, right? So for whatever digital platform that we're asking for, right? And on my side, it's a lot of personnel stuff, but and so it would be like I need, these 100 things. I need the system to do these 100 things, and I need these different legacy systems to interface, and then they give it to basically a contractor to say how much is this going to cost, right?
right,
um so you're kind of doing that, right? Like, all right, so I'm insurance company, you got a million different things that you need to know or that you demand or whatever, and then I want to funnel that into a solution that allows me to just go out and get it done, and then get it
yeah,
paid promptly, right?
right. I don't want to have to train someone for 3 months
Yeah.
to figure out how to decipher everything that's on that line
Right.
itemed out scope and you know make a material order and cost out the job and see where we're at and then decide what changes need to be made and
Yeah.
what things need to be added to the scope. Like that's all just relational databases, right? Like we
Right.
can we can build all of that to where it just maps it out, right? And it just gives you
Mm.
an answer and maybe make suggestions or whatever down the
Yeah.
road. But
So
yeah, the
is this something, you said started as kind of like an in-house solution for yourself to make your life easier.
yeah.
Um, but I assume that you probably have colleagues that work in the same industry, and like, do they see the value in something like this too, that you could market it out there?
Oh yeah, yeah. We got 40 contractors on a wait list right now.
Oh,
That are
wow.
just like, dude, like, please tell me when this is ready. We were just at a
Oh,
trade show.
that's
There's a huge
awesome,
trade
man.
show. A huge trade show here in Dallas this
Yeah.
week, earlier in the week, and yeah, I mean, guys from 30, 40, 50 million dollar companies know about it because I've gone to networking dinners and talked about it and got up and and
Yeah.
spread the word a little bit. We've been kind of flying under the radar while we got that patent situation
Right.
figured out.
Yeah.
And then I've just recently started talking about it publicly.
Yeah.
And yeah, like word's already kind of spreading naturally, and
Hmm.
we got eyes on us for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we're definitely releasing it to the market. I mean, hell, our first investor was actually one of my roofing customers.
Nice.
He was a guy. He's a real estate investor, and he does he owns, I don't even know how many properties, and we handled, I don't know, 7 or 8 claims for him. So he
Yeah.
got a good taste of how much of a pain in the ass it is to deal with this, not only from the contractor standpoint, because he does some contracting work on the side too. He doesn't do this type of stuff, but
Hmm.
so he understood like the problems we were facing, and then he also got to experience it from a policyholder standpoint and getting to run
Right.
around insurance company because
Yeah.
they're not your friend, bro. They're
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
they have shareholders and they have profit motives and they have company guidelines where they intentionally try and pay as least amount of as possible on each
Yeah.
claim.
Yeah,
And
for
they
sure.
know that, if you got 100 claims, they're going to tell all of them no, right? To some degree, right? Some of them they might
Right.
flat out be like denied. Others they're going to be like, yeah, we'll pay you and we'll give you this much because they know that 70% of them are just going to take it and go away, right?
Right. Yeah.
And a small percentage of them are going to have knowledgeable contractors or somebody on their side, or they're just not going to. They just know better, right? And they're going to
Hmm.
push back, and then they fight them on that for as long as they can. Maybe they give them a little bit more, and then they know that a very small percentage, like 5 to 10% of those 100 claims,
Yeah.
are going to result in any kind of lawsuit or any kind of arbitration or anything like that, where they actually have to deploy resources to it
Yeah.
in addition to what they would normally do. And then they usually settle anyway, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just it's a shame like where we're at
It's kind of a
in this.
racket, right?
It's a fucking racket, dude. It's a scam.
Yeah.
Like it is. I mean, like there's several things in life that I think like have like altruistic motives that shouldn't be profit driven. Insurance is one of them, right? Like,
Yeah,
um,
especially because it's like, it's against the law to not have insurance on certain things, right?
yeah, you got to be insured. But then when the time comes, you've been paying your premiums for 20
Yeah.
years, right? I talk
Yeah.
to people all the time. I've been with XYZ for 20 years. There's no way they're gonna screw me over. I'm like, okay, buddy.
All right.
They don't give a shit about you, man. Like
Good luck.
you're a number to them, right? Like
Yeah.
you're a number. They don't have a person. You have a personal relationship with your agent, right? Like, your
Right.
agent is a salesperson. They're customer service, right? They're there to make sure you're happy, answer all your questions on the front end, and then you sign, and they're waiting on their residual money from you every month as you keep paying your premium. That's their business
Right.
model. The claims department is completely separate from that, and
Yeah.
their job is to come out, figure out what they're on the hook to pay for,
Right.
and try and minimize that as much as they can without ruffling too many feathers, right?
Yeah.
And see what sticks, right? And if they
Yeah.
save, if they save $500, $1,000 on 1 million claims,
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
it's a
Right. Right.
billion
Right.
dollars, dog.
Right.
It's,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like they
Yeah.
have company guidelines that they're set in place to mitigate their loss ratio, right?
Right.
And so anyway, that's a whole
Yeah.
other conversation.
So, so yeah, man. So you live Dallas Fort Worth area, right?
Yeah, we live in Fort Worth,
Fort
kind of
Worth.
in the
Yeah.
TCU area. Yeah.
Last time I came and visited you, man, we went downtown there. What was that district we went to? It was real cool, man. It was like kind of eclectic.
Yeah, I went to Deep Ellum in Dallas.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
the
just remember like I don't know when I think of like I think like everybody, man. When you think of Dallas, you know, man, you're
yeah.
thinking, the stockyards are like convertible Cadillac with the fucking Longhorns on the front.
Yeah, we
Which,
got some of those
hey,
for sure.
I'm sure there's plenty of it. I love that shit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But Dallas has like really become this.
Dallas is
It's
bougie
like,
as fuck, man.
yeah, man, it's like the
Yeah,
LA of Texas,
yeah, pretty much.
except not so many homeless people.
Yeah, yeah. There's plenty. That was actually a big deal a couple years ago. They had like Tent
Yeah,
City under one of the freeways.
yeah,
Yeah, it was just a big ordeal. But yeah, we're over in Fort Worth. It's about 35, 40 minutes away from Dallas.
right.
We don't really get over there too much because, like you said, it's a little bougie. It's uptown, and
Yeah,
it's a little more cowboy over here in Fort Worth, and it's a little,
yeah,
you know, um, you don't really have to get dressed up to go out to eat.
yeah,
You know what I mean? If you
yeah,
don't want to, you know.
yeah, yeah,
But it's cool, man. We love Fort Worth. It's our speed. My wife has also gotten a taste of Dallas when she first moved up here like 9 years ago or whatever it was.
yeah,
She worked in Dallas a lot, and she's it's not her cup of tea.
yeah.
So we found our home over here in Fort Worth.
It's funny though, right? Like I've never lived there. I've only been there, to visit you or some other times when I was young. And like if you're not familiar with it truly, like either you live there or you've been enough, like when you think Dallas, you just think Dallas Fort Worth. Like you kind of think it's the same
Yeah,
place.
yeah, yeah. It's a big metroplex, man. Like,
Right.
in my line of business, in the roofing business, when storms hit, like I said, like they may reach. We had a storm a couple years ago that reached all the way from like Southwest Fort Worth, Arlington area, all the way
Mhm.
up to like Frisco, which is like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
40, 40, 50 miles north of, like it's like up there. It takes me an hour and 10 minutes to drive from my house to Frisco. But like
Yeah.
that band of storms damaged all that. So we get calls from people all over the place. So I drive to all four corners of the Metroplex. Not as much anymore, but like when I was really getting it, I'd drive like 150 miles a day. It was crazy.
Yeah. This is kind of like a morbid thing to say, but like if you're going to own a roofing company, it's a pretty good spot to own a roofing company just because of the weather patterns, right? I mean, Dallas gets pummeled by a
Yeah, we're like
lot of
we're
severe
like the
weather.
hail capital of the freaking world, bro. Like, I mean,
Right.
and maybe other places get more hailstorms, but per capita, like the population density here, like it just does more damage here.
Right.
Um, but there's about, I don't know, 18, 20 markets that are considered like hail markets that get hail
Mm.
often just based on their location and weather patterns.
Yeah.
But we're definitely at the top of the list. Like us and like Denver, like the
Okay.
Colorado area, Colorado Springs, Denver,
Yeah.
they get hammered pretty good.
'Cause Dallas is kind of like right at the western edge of, well, maybe not really western edge, but it's basically like Tornado Alley is like probably
Yeah,
north of there.
every time those fronts come down, like it's either smack dab in the middle of that curved band that you see, or it's
Yep.
like right at
Yep.
the bottom of it, and those typically have the highest winds, and wind is what causes hail, right? It lifts the
Yeah.
moisture back up and spins it around and freezes it and keeps
Right.
it elevated until it all just dumps.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's that's why there's like 8,000 roofers here in North Texas. Like it's insane. Like
Right.
it's the Shark Tank of roofing for sure. It's a cutthroat, competitive market.
Have you ever thought about expanding outside of Texas?
I have, but once we started down this software road,
Hmm.
my focus have kind of shifted from a business and from like a legacy standpoint, right? Like
Yeah.
do I have the energy and drive and desire to build $100 million roofing company? Not really, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a huge machine. It's a huge
Right.
undertaking. You got to really like love it and be in it for that reason, right?
Right.
And there's plenty of companies that do that type of revenue, right? And
Right.
they're awesome companies. And but I looked at it as a huge opportunity to solve some major systemic problems that plague every company in our industry, right? Like any
Hmm.
company that does this type of work, even though they may do things a little bit differently or they might have this workflow and this process and whatever, they
Hmm.
face the same macro challenges, right? Like
Right.
they all have hiring and training and retention problems. They all have marketing and lead generation problems. They
Hmm.
all have back end administrative bottlenecks in dealing with insurance companies. And
Yeah.
they all go through a cash flow crunch at some point in time, right?
Right.
And a lot of business owners in this industry, they started as operators or installers, right? They're not like sophisticated business people. Not all of them. There's some, but like a lot
Yeah.
of
Sure.
people kind of like morphed into owning a business, and so
Right.
a lot of those principles of cash management and just business principles are learned along the way. And
Mm.
when you're learning things along the way, you're going to make mistakes, right? And some of those mistakes snowball into bigger issues that you can't ever recover from, and that's it's kind of a death wish
Right.
on some businesses because it'll catch up to you. If you got, I know a guy that's like in the same office complex as us that runs a roofing company that's got, I think he told me the other day he's got $1.3 million in accounts receivables out on the street, right?
Wow.
And that's a lot for a company
Yeah.
this size, right? They probably do, I don't know, between $6 and $8 million a year, and
Mm.
to have a million of that with
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
question mark over it as to when it's coming
right.
in. Like,
Yeah.
we don't make that much money in this business, you know. Like, so contractors become banks of sorts, right? We have to front load and front a lot of these jobs. So
Right. Okay. And like, is there a means by which you can like put pressure on the insurance company, or are you kind of at their mercy?
you're at their mercy, man.
Yeah.
The homeowner is contracted directly with the insurance company, right? So they have a contractual relationship through their policy. That's what a policy
Got
is.
it.
We have a contracted relationship with the homeowner. We
Mm.
If an insurance company talks to us, it's kind of out of courtesy for their policyholder. Like, we can't get too crazy with them. And
Yeah, because I can see where that would be ethically challenging, even.
yeah, and
Right.
there's bad apples in every industry, right? And you got some unscrupulous people out here that will take advantage of homeowners and tell them bad information. And there's actually laws against called UPPA. It's unlicensed practice of public adjusting.
Yeah.
As a contractor, as an unlicensed professional, I'm not a public adjuster. I'm not an attorney. I can't go up to a homeowner and be like, "Well, your policy says this. You should do this." Right?
Yeah.
I can't do that, right? I can't.
Right.
Technically, I'm not supposed to be able to affect the outcome of a claim. I can talk insurance. I mean, I can talk scope of work, what needs to be done, my pricing, right? Like, I can talk that all day, but I can't insert myself too deep into the process there.
Yeah.
And that becomes the challenge as a contractor, as a business owner, right? My revenue, my income is not determined by my customer. It's
Right.
determined by a third party that they're
Yeah.
contracted with elsewhere. So
Right.
creates some challenges for sure.
Yeah, dude. Look, man, I'm like excited for this software thing, man. I think that's going to be awesome for you. I think it's going to like change the game. It sounds like.
That's our goal, man. And it's I probably make it sound a little easier than it is. It's a hard
Yeah.
thing to do, right? And we got a long road ahead of us, but we got the right team in place.
Yeah.
We've got awesome investors behind us. And everybody I talk to some degree understands. Maybe they don't think about it, like, they definitely don't think about it day to day, but
Yeah.
most of them understand. Once I break it down, they're like, "Oh yeah, I mean, that sounds like a really big fucking problem that you need to solve."
Right.
And it sounds like you are. So yeah, like, people get intrigued and interested real quick,
Yeah.
which is motivating for us. So
Yeah, that's good, man.
yeah.
All right, dude. So what are we gonna I'm good. This is a teaser. This is not the first episode of the Texan Connection, right? This is just a
Yeah, but
teaser.
now everybody knows about insurance claims.
Hey, it's all good, man, because I think that a lot of potential listeners at some point, right, they're probably going to have some damage that, it's going to happen inevitably if you're a homeowner, right? And
Yeah.
maybe if you watch this, you're like, damn, I didn't even think about that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bad things happen to people's homes all the time, right? And
Right.
we had a snowstorm a couple of years last year, whenever it was.
Yeah.
Froze us up for like a week and a half. Pipes busted everywhere.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course, every roofer in North Texas became a water mitigation expert.
Yeah, right. Like, let me change my hat out real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of dangerous when you're talking about like mold and moisture in people's houses. It's a
Yeah.
little different than slapping shingles on a
Yeah.
house. But yeah, it was. But yeah, I mean, it was like $20 billion in damage or something that happened. It was crazy.
Yeah, I was watching that from afar, man. Up here in Masawa, uh, we don't have that problem. I mean, they're pretty equipped for it. Like, dude, it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm from Louisiana, lived in Texas for 7 years, so I claim both. But like, so I've never lived anywhere where it snowed, and legitimately, I live an hour and some change, maybe an hour and a half away from Aomori City, which is, fucking Google it, the snowiest city in the world.
That's insane.
In the world, bro. Right. And we probably catch about a half to 3/4 of what Aomori catches. Right. So, I mean, on an average year, it's 8 to 10 feet of accumulation throughout the season from December through March. Right. Like, it's a lot, dude.
That's a lot.
So, I love it. I love it, dude. I also
Man, I
live in
remember-
an apartment, so I don't have to shovel shit, man. I just go out there and wipe my car off.
Yeah, right.
Let's go.
Yeah, man. I remember when I came out there back. What was that? Like 2011, I think that I came out there.
Yeah, 2011-ish. Yeah.
Yeah. I popped them up on my Facebook feed not too long ago.
Yeah.
But I remember like we were just driving across the countryside. Everything was bebopping along. It was just like plains and grass. All of a sudden, we went through a fucking tunnel and we came out and it was like a blizzard. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what happened?
Man. Had to put the chains on, like
Transported.
You're like in fucking Narnia, man. Let's do this, you know?
That's it. I was like, whoa, where are we right now?
Yeah, that was a good time, man. We went to Naiba ski resort and then got the prefecture. So, I'll tell you, man, like I'm about an hour and 15 minutes from a place called Okunakayama. And dude, I'm probably within 3 hours and more like about 2 and some change, a radius of 10 to 12 ski hills or resorts. Right. So, I go a lot, man.
I know. I saw you were there yesterday or the day before.
Yeah. Yesterday.
Cool.
Matter of fact, yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I'm lucky
it's
if I
good,
get,
man.
Like one trip every 3, 4, 5 years, but I'm still fucking hobbling around for my trip to Breckenridge. Idiot.
Yeah, dude. What's wrong with you, man?
I don't know, man.
Dude, you're 41. You're 41 now, right?
I'm 40. I'll be 41 next month.
Oh, you're 41. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, I'll be 41 next month. But yeah, man, like I had no business in the terrain park, bro. Like I shit you not, like Breckenridge has got they got a couple of good terrain parks, but like those jumps are like 20, 30 feet high. And
nah, dude. No,
and
I'm good.
There was 3 of them, right? And so there was like 20 kids up at the top of the hill. They're like, "You gonna do it?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it." Yeah. So I bail off onto one, hit the first one, do a little style, like hit it, perfect. I was like, "Oh, that wasn't too bad." Hit the second one, boom, hit it. The third one though, and I noticed the second one was a little bit bigger maybe than the first one, and the third one was just like Olympic size, fucking like, oh shit! And I hesitated right at the lip, bro. And like they got the tabletops, right?
Yeah.
You got to hit the other side so you go down, but nah, man. I from like 15 or 20 feet just flat-footed right on the top of it.
Oh
Skis,
no, dude!
Both skis like fucking everywhere. Hat flew off. Banged my head. Like had my helmet on. Like it was gnarly.
It's a good thing you had a helmet on, man.
Yeah, dude, it was bad. I thought I broke my heel, and I was all the way on like peak 7, and we were staying at peak 9, so I had to like traverse the entire. I was like,
it hurts so bad.
Yeah, man, it was bad. I bruised both my heels like real good.
Yeah. Yesterday I did like a tree run. Me and my XO, he's this big. He's awesome. I'm gonna call him Goofy because he's like 6'5" and like just all over the place kind of guy, right? But we were with our operations officer, and anyways, it was like a command ski trip, and our OPSO is from Colorado, so like he's got it wired for sound, right? So and of course I was like, you know what, man, let's do the tree run. He's like, you sure? I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I'll tell you like 2 things, right? Number one is like I'm in decent shape, right? I'm not in great shape. I'm 42 years old. I haven't been that out of breath in a hot minute, bro. Like I legit had to lay down like, give me a minute. Just give me a minute. And number 2, like I haven't had that much fun in a long time because like when you would fall, like dude, they had got dumped like a foot of fresh powder, and like so it's all pretty fresh inside of there, right? Because nobody really goes in there. So like I would biff, dude, and just like I'm like laughing my ass off, So it was a good time, man.
Yeah. I'm jealous, man. I'm always
so hey man, what are we gonna do with this thing, man? So
we're definitely not going to talk about
I'm good with
roofing
game
and
planning
insurance.
it like live, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to put this out there. Like what are we gonna do with this thing?
We're definitely not going to talk about roofing and insurance every episode. So
not every episode, but I mean, it's okay to talk about it some, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. You know me, I'll talk about whatever for however long. I mean, shit, it don't matter. We can talk about crypto. We can talk about, you know,
That's another thing that I was going to ask you about. We'll save that for next time.
yeah, that's a whole episode in and of itself, man. Like
Yeah,
that's,
dude, I am super curious about that, especially with how it's blowing up now. Like, I know that you were into, was it Ethereum?
yeah, I've been into, yeah, since like 2016 ish, somewhere in there.
Right. I remember when you first started with that, and it feels like it was right at the fucking jump of it almost.
It was. I had a good buddy of mine, Cody, that he's a software engineer that told me about it
Yeah.
uh, around that time and was like, dude, this technology is going to change the world. Like it's going to change how everything is done. And it hadn't got
Dude.
there yet, right? It's still in its like magic internet money fucking
Mm-hmm.
cartoon world. Like let's just create shit out of thin air type of
Yeah.
speculative bubble that it's in right now. But
Yeah.
like underlying technology is making strides, and what's going to happen for what's going to need to happen before it can become like the way everybody does things is the regulatory aspect of it, right? The SEC and everything.
Yeah.
They're
And
starting
they're
to look
really
at it.
trying to clamp down on it right now, too, right?
They're trying, honestly, like the new chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler. He actually used to teach blockchain courses at MIT, so like
Ooh,
he's down for the cause, right? And so,
right.
but he's got to figure out a way to structure it to where
Right.
it makes sense. And it's not so much that and just because he's involved, like how governments work, right? There's all
Yeah.
kinds of people with agendas that are coming at it from different ways, and
Right.
eventually it'll flesh itself out. But yeah, it's an exciting time for it for sure. And we're in like inning one of the pregame season. Like it hadn't even
Right.
started, right?
Yeah.
Because
Dude,
we're
I'm no kidding. I'm happy to do a whole episode about crypto because I know that you got a lot of knowledge on it. And like, that's one thing that a lot of people, I mean, myself included, I like to think that I stay up on shit. But that one, I have like a general idea, like I think most people do, but I don't know enough to feel confident doing anything with it. You know what I mean?
bro, it's another world, bro. Like I'm in it, and sometimes I'm like, what the fuck?
Like what? So what you're
How do
saying
you
is I need to do a Rising Sun NFT is what you're saying.
there you go. There you
Just
go.
saying, right?
I'm just saying, man.
I'll
Heard it here. You
rival
heard it
Paris
here.
Hilton soon, right? There'll just be a picture of me like this. Like Steve O.
Bean
Anyways.
coin.
Yeah, that's it, man. Fucking D, fuck Dogecoin, fucking D coin. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The other thing I was thinking about, man, is so like we know a lot of people. Let's put it this way: like we know a lot of people that we met at the same time, right? Like the Papado era. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would be interesting guests. I think Billy would be fucking fantastic on here.
Man,
Right. But
seen
there's some other people, right? And then
Yeah.
like because of kind of what's the way to put this? Kylie's mom's from Vider, right?
Yeah.
And so like we end up knowing a lot of those people mutually too, like
Yeah.
exclusive of the people that we met when we worked at Papado. So it was like this kind of weird triangle thing where like Jason Williamson, some people in Vider, and I think it'd be interesting, right, between the two of us to come up with some people there in Texas that we would like to have on, right? It could be for entertainment, it could be for whatever insight they have into whatever industry they're in, or I don't know, just to catch up on old times, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of people we mutually know. There's probably, even more that we don't mutually know, right? But
Right.
like, I guess the purpose of our episodes is like the Texans connection, right?
That's it,
So,
man. Yeah. The way, and I'll tell you, man, like the way that, and we haven't really talked about this. So, and I'm happy to do it right now. Like the way that I envision this thing, right? The Rising Sun, okay, is that, like I'm not a very interesting dude, right? Like I could sit here and tell you stories about the Navy that I've done for the last 20 years, and there's some pretty cool shit, right? But
Yeah.
like I know a lot of cool people. Like I know a
Yeah.
lot of fucking cool people, man. You know a lot of cool people, and I think that like, it's not about like, you know, you hear this thing where people say, I want to, you know, I'm going to give them a voice. Right. And that offends some people's sensibilities. Like when I say I want to give people a voice, I mean that like that knowledge, that expertise, that experience that they have, if they don't have a platform to share it, otherwise it won't get shared. Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my idea for this thing is that all these different people that I know, I just want to be kind of like a conduit, right? Like, let's get your shit out there, man, and hopefully it helps some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's probably like two types of podcasts, right, that I can think of right off the top of my head. There's one where you have like a figurehead that's their podcast, right? Like
Right.
an author, an entertainer, whatever. And they bring on people that are from their world to talk about, you know, things in their vacuum, right? And then there's other people like a Joe Rogan or, you know,
Yeah.
I mean that's a big example, right? But like,
Yeah.
you know, they bring on people that bring different insight and different perspectives and different topics to talk about that they are experts on, and he
Right.
gets to be kind of a spectator and an
Yeah.
interaction point for whatever they're talking about. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's up to you, like which way you want to go. I think probably the latter would probably be the most sensible one, right?
Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's in my circle,
Right.
right? Which is pretty broad, but you know, my circle is going to be um active duty and veterans. Like that's like my circle. Like as I sit down and I write down potential guests, um, you know, the vast majority are people that I've met over the last 20 years,
Right.
you know, in service, right? Which is fine, right? But the thing is that those people know people that
Absolutely.
hopefully can come into the fold, you know?
Yeah, that network effect is probably where most of your value is going to lie, right? So I'm sure
Yeah.
you've probably already done some thought exercises on topics and things like that. But you know, there's just me thinking out loud. You know, what do potential viewers of this podcast, you know, which probably a good majority of them, at least in the beginning, are going to be, you know, enlisted folks, and
Yeah.
what what problems, what issues, what things are they trying to solve or deal with in their life, right? It might be family stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, shit. We could probably do a whole episode on fatherhood, right, and what that looks
Right.
like from a
Yep.
business owner versus a deployed,
Yeah.
you know, member of the Navy, right? Um, you know, we can. I mean, you could like real estate investing, what to do with your money, right?
Right.
Nobody here is financial advisors, so like,
It's
gotta
just,
put that
yeah,
out there. But
things
like,
we've done.
you know,
Yeah.
just things we've done, right? You know, business ideas, you know, mental health type stuff. You know, like
Yeah.
there's a whole list of shit you could go into and probably tap your network and
Right.
tap into that network effect of like maybe you don't know a psychologist, but maybe someone else does. That's like
Yeah.
someone you'd also like to have a beer with, right? That'd be a good guest
Right.
on the show. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like
Yeah. I
there's all
mean,
kinds of cool
certainly,
thing about
certainly on kind of like that side of it. Well, so there's basically like, as it stands in my head, like you said, thought exercises. There's basically four kind of um, branches of this thing, right? So
yeah,
the one is the Rising Sun podcast, which will be I'll have guests, and they may be on active duty, they may be retired, they may not be affiliated with the military at all,
right.
you know, or maybe they had some service anyway. So this will be like guests, right?
Yeah,
Um, there's hours, which I'd like to do a couple times a month. You know what I mean? On some recurring schedule, we'll figure that out offline. Um, and on ours, we just have to. I mean, whatever comes up, dude. And if we like shoot the shit for an hour, I'm happy with that, right?
yeah,
Because it gives me an excuse to fucking talk to you, right?
yeah, yeah.
But I think we'll find a lot of
Yeah,
interesting topics to talk about, right?
we'll mine some topics out of those
Yeah,
conversations.
and then the third one is the one that is still under the Rising Sun, you know, umbrella, but it's one that I'm going to do with my daughter Millie,
Yeah,
um, and I think that one's going to be a lot of fun, man. Like just because, man, that kid's a fucking handful. I can't even call her a kid anymore, man. She's fucking 18. Can you believe that?
18. That's crazy, bro. That is
Wild.
crazy.
It's wild, right?
That's
But she's awesome, right? And she is very opinionated and definitely her father's daughter. So those will be fun. And And then the last one is just like a solo one that'll be like once a week, maybe a little more often. Like if something strikes a chord and I just want to pontificate on it, right? And that'll be the weekly or as required. You know what I mean? Yeah, pontificate. I gotta put my pontiff hat on. I was thinking. So, but yeah, that's kind of like where I'm headed with it,
Yeah, it's a good structure. I think there's plenty of gold to be mined out of those 4 channels.
Right.
So,
yeah,
it's exciting. I've never done one of these, and like I was saying the other day, I'm about to have to like start marketing the shit out of my software, right? Like once we get it launched, so I'm going to be doing podcast tours and the whole trade show circuit. So it's good practice for me, and it's good. Like I said at the beginning, like it's pretty cool that lifelong friends could just hop in the chat and just like.
That's it, dude.
Who we normally do, minus the shenanigans.
That's it, man. I mean, it's still a good conversation, right? Like, right. I don't feel like I'm holding anything back, man. I'm just having a good time,
Yeah, man. No, that's why I said like we won't ever run out of things to talk about. Me and you can we always pick up right where we left off, man.
Right where we left off, bro. That's awesome.
That's where it started.
There was one other thing that I wanted to mention to you. Dude, have you watched this fucking show Euphoria?
Is that the one with Zendaya? It's on.
Dude. Like Millie told me about it. My oldest, she's 18. She was like, oh my God, Euphoria. Like, I was like, what? She's like, it is out of control. I'm like, okay. I was like, whatever, dude. Like, and plus I see Zendaya and I think like Nickelodeon or like Disney, right? Like that's where she came from, right?
Yeah.
And then like, so my XO, we were on a ski trip yesterday and he's like, man, I watched the first episode of Euphoria and I almost had to turn it off. And like, he's a grown man, right? And I was like, whoa, like it's that bad? He's like, dude, I'm telling you, he's like, it is in your face. I was like, okay, all right. So I watched 2 episodes before we hopped on tonight.
Yeah.
Whoa, dude. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish it. It's brutal, bro.
Really? Like dude, violence or like
name it.
Okay.
And it's a bunch of high school kids.
Oh, gotcha.
It name it, bro.
I can't watch that. My daughter's 15.
Dude. I think you should though, right?
Maybe I should.
Because
bro, she's
now it's an overly dramatic version of what's really going on, I think, but there's some reality to it. You know what I mean? So, anyways, not to end on a bad note, but Euphoria, dude. Like, at least watch the pilot and then hit me up and tell me what you think. All right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, we're always looking for things to watch. But
so, and then the last thing, bro. So, well, 2 last things for me, anyways. Now I'll give you a chance to close this one out, right? So number 1 is gotta get hats. I got them lined up, man. So you probably got a vendor. I'm sure you got a vendor, but I figure we abbreviate it, right? You don't have to wear it every podcast, man. It's all good. You know what I mean? But you want to wear your swag. You gotta have some swag, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's the TNX CNX, right? Texan connection, right? And then the other thing is, man, so and look, again, like I said on my teaser episode or whatever, it's like nobody's sponsoring me, man. I'm not looking for sponsors, but like no shit, man. One of the most positive responses I've gotten on just the initial stuff that I put out is people are like, who is Treese kid that sings this song that you have that brings in your intro, right? Like, yo, man, like one of the young folks that worked for me, like came up to me and like, and let's just say that they work in a field where like mass media is kind of their thing, right? And she was like, so I watched an episode. She was like, And the first thing they teach us in school is to grab people's attention. And she's like, the first 10 seconds of your podcast, I wanted to watch it. Like I was okay with whatever happened in the next 5 minutes because of what happened in the first 10 seconds. Right.
Yeah. The bumper's important.
Yeah. But so I look like unshamefully, I'm going to promote Tree's Kid. Right. He gave me permission to use that song. And yeah, dude, like I hope that he has an opportunity to make a lot more music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He hit you back.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I mean, I was going to use it either way, but he said I could. So, that's it, man. So
yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, I'm happy for him and Jazz. They look like they've built a good life together, man. She's doing well with her.
100%, man. Like they, you know, I think, you know, you meet that person that you're supposed to be with, and you kind of know it, right? It's not always perfect, but you know it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a whole other episode too, buddy.
No doubt, man. Yeah, we got a lifetime of shit to talk about, bro.
I know, man. So anyways, homie, gonna wrap it up?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything prepared to say, but I'm super stoked to be on here. I think what you're doing is awesome. It's you know, it's probably something that a lot of people are going to need and gravitate towards, and you know, people like listening to people talk about things, right, and how that relates to their life. So I'm excited to be a part of it. Like I said, it's always good to connect with you, and to be able to connect with you on a project is even cooler. So I'm looking forward to what it brings and where it goes. And yeah, man, it's a good episode. We've been on for a while, so yeah. Until next time, bro. Just let me know when it's gonna be.
For sure, dude. We'll talk offline. I'll probably get this up. I'm impatient, man. Once I have it recorded, I want to like push it. I want to wait till Monday, but I'll probably push it tomorrow. Just saying. So, but yeah, man, that's it for tonight. Yeah, man, we'll do one probably in a couple weeks after I maybe the week after episode 1 releases. We'll go ahead and get one on the books, and then so it'll be kind of like every other week that we'll do at least a couple times a month. All right.
Yeah, dog. Just let me know.
All right, homeboy. Talk to you later, man.
All right, man.
Out.
Peace out.
Yep.